This is episode 2 of Earthing Live, a series where we answer your live questions here on the webinar. All right, just about one more minute here to get everybody logged in. Welcome if you're just joining us. We are about to get started here. Let's see. Okay. Well, welcome to episode 2 of Earthing Live. This is a webinar where you ask your questions directly in the webinar, and we do our best to get to all of them and answer them. I'm here today with Clint Ober. We will be doing these webinars for now every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can ask your questions in the Q&A section of this webinar. So if you go to the bottom of your Zoom window, you should see a Q&A button. You can ask your questions in there. If you submit your questions in the chat section, I will not see those. So I am only monitoring the Q&A section. If you're joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube, you will not be able to ask questions. So if you want to ask questions in the future, go ahead to earthing.com, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be able to receive notifications of these webinars and links on how to sign up so you can join us live and ask your questions. As always, we have the customer service department here with us today, working in the background, helping me out. And if you have any questions that you don't get answered here today, or if you have any general customer service questions, such as order tracking, how to place an order, you can contact our customer service department at help@earthing.com. You can go to our website, earthing.com, and you can find our phone number. You can live chat with our customer service department. So they're really great at helping everyone out. And one quick reminder, we do have our Earth Day special going on right now. So in honor of Earth Day, which is April 22nd, we are doing 10% off your first order in April. That's 10% off the very first order you place in April. So even if you've placed previous orders, your first order in April will still receive 10% off. Just use the coupon code EarthDay, one word, EarthDay, one word. Okay, so now I would like to introduce Mr. Clint Ober. He is the founder and CEO over here at earthing.com. He discovered earthing and the benefits of grounding the human body about 25 years ago. He's been working tirelessly day in and day out to further the research, improve products, develop new products. It's been his life mission to educate as many people as he can about the health benefits and the importance of grounding every living being on this planet. So welcome, Clint.
Thank you, Jennifer. Glad to be here, as usual.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I'm doing, actually, it's a pretty nice day today.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather, lots of sunshine, lots of new growth.
Yeah, spring is in the air, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right in here.
Okay.
Let's see. So this person, Clara, is asking about wearing the earthing socks and toenail fungus. Have we heard anything about our earthing socks helping with toenail fungus?
Not that I can recollect. What the earthing will do is reduce inflammation and enhance the immune system, and the immune system should be able to take care of the fungus. But other than that, only a doctor would know on that one.
Okay. Do you recommend any earthing products to ground tennis shoes? We get lots and lots of questions about earthing shoes.
Earthing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
We're working around the clock. I've been working for years. I've been working for 20 years trying to get a shoe into the market. But I keep getting sidetracked with all these other things that we do. But anyhow, for the time being, you can buy some copper tape, put it inside your shoe, take it and wrap it around the side, put it on the bottom of the shoe. It won't last very long, but it will ground you for a few days at a time. You can use copper wire as long as it's tight and doesn't snag on anything. You have to be careful. Anything you put on the shoe, it can't interfere with your normal walking, so you don't trip or anything. But really, the only simple things are just plain old copper wire or copper tape. Copper tape doesn't last very long. Copper wire will, and there's a variety of different types of shoes out there that are so-called grounding shoes, but they're not really effective. A lot of them aren't effective in this sense, and a lot of them aren't comfortable. So there's kind of an odd situation going on there, but that's all we can offer at the moment.
All right.
Hopefully a new fully grounded flip-flop sometime this year.
Yeah, I know that is a project that you've been working on for years and years, and it's not been an easy one.
No, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Catherine has asked, does it matter if we use the black or the orange coil cords for different products? We do get this question a lot because we recently, stopped using our orange cords and transitioned over to black.
Yeah, the reason we used the orange cord was in some environments, orange is more like a medical ground, or it's known as a ground, and green otherwise. But with the biological cords, grounding cords, soft ground cords, that we were trying to follow that path, but we just had problems with various things along the way. And in order to simplify things, we started switching everything over to the black. So the color is all that's changed. What's in the cord and how the cord functions, they're all identical.
Yeah, what's important is that you get your cord from us. We do have.
Yeah, our cords are medical grade, or what they consider medical grade. They're made by a medical company and a medical products company. And they're designed specifically for what we do. And there's built-in safety. There's a resistor at each end of the cord, one in the snap, one in the plug-in area. And but other than that, they're identical in service.
All right. Linda is asking a question about our continuity testers. And I know you wanted to make sure we talked about this today. So her specific question is, she has an earthing tester and it works on all her products, but it also lights up when she touches it, even though she's not grounded. Why is this?
Okay, that's because that's one version of our. It's because she has a lot of Wi-Fi or radiation in the environment in the area, and we have been working on this problem for quite some time, and what we have is it's too sensitive, and then on some of the other ones we don't have them sensitive enough, and we have been going back and forth for 2 years now trying to perfect this, and we're going to continue. But the reason is because your body is an antenna, and when you touch it, some like metal device, or like a metal bed or a metal desk or something in the environment, yes, they will go off. So what you have to do, sometimes even static electricity, building up static electricity on your body will set the meter off. But what the meter is really designed to do, first of all, it's designed to take your wires, and you can snap it on here and plug the other end into the side port. And when you turn it on, I'm actually grounded to the earth right now. But when you turn it on, the green light comes on. So it's really to test your cord to make sure your cords are working. And then it's designed to test your products. When I'm grounded here, the light comes on. But they're really designed to test your products and earthing products in general, any kind of a grounding product, and to make sure that they're functioning properly. And some people, they won't test people very well sometimes, because some people have very high skin resistance. They have oil on their fingers, or they're not well hydrated, and the type of clothing they have, the thickness of the clothing and the cotton versus this. So there's lots of things, but the tester is really designed to confirm that your wire is working and that your grounding device is working. And then when you lay on it, if you just touch it, it'll generally, sometimes you'll have to wet the finger because of the skin resistance and the oil to get the light to go off when you're grounded. But it's not designed to measure through clothes and all the, any number of blankets and sheets and so on. But did I answer that okay?
I think so. And I think another question we get asked a lot is people who are trying to test their bodies, but they have a lot of layers between them and the product. And you kind of touched on it, but maybe you can speak again as what type of clothing or fabric is usually okay between you and a product.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you're going to do that, first thing of all, you have to know that when you put your finger on the metal tab on the back, if you have a lot of oil, or if you're very not well hydrated, then sometimes it won't measure no matter what, because there's a lot of resistance. It's designed to have resistance of something less than a mega ohm. So if you just lay down flat, bare skin on the black or on the mat or the earthing device, and put your finger on it, the light's going to turn green. Generally, unless your skin resistance is too high. If you put a sheet on it and lay down and with no clothes on, then you're going to hydrate that sheet instantly. The perspiration, the salts from your body are going to hydrate and make the sheet conductive instantly. If you put pajamas on, depending on the thickness and the types, then only your feet and hands are going to be readily conductive, but the other clothing will hydrate, especially if it's cotton, like a cotton nightshirt and so on. Once you get into the exotic fabrics and flannels, then it's not likely that you're going to be able to test through those things. But I want to say one thing, no matter what, I guarantee you that, my electrons, what we're measuring here is resistance at about 100K. But if you once you lay down in bed, and first of all, you have some humidity in your environment. So there's some humidity in the air. So there is some humidity in the covers and the sheets. So electrons will migrate through any kind of humidity. But once you put covers on your body, then as the night goes on, then you're going to be hydrating, the sheets and any clothing that you're wearing sufficient that electrons are going to migrate around and equalize your body with the earth. They may not totally wipe out the effects of 60 hertz electric fields and all those kind of things, but they will. Your body will equalize with earth. You will be at earth potential, and your body will absorb the electrons and reduce the inflammation in your body. I hope I made sense. It's a little technical, but the best thing to do is to put a thin cotton sheet on top of your bed cover, mattress cover, and just wear the minimal nightwear and lay down and go to sleep and trust that it's going to ground you, because basically you're going to feel better in the morning. You're going to have less aches and pains, less inflammation. And that's all I can say for the moment.
All right. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Cleta has said she's new to earthing. I've purchased the kit and I'm interested in how do the sheets and the sleep pads actually work? So this is a very basic question here.
Okay.
How do they work?
How do they work? Well, first of all, if you connect them to the electrical ground in your outlet, first of all, you have a tester to check it and make sure that the outlets are grounded, properly grounded. Then you put a device, and then, so that ground that's in that electrical outlet is going throughout your house, and it's being connected to a ground, to the earth at some point. It is not a part of your hot and neutral electrical circuit. It is separate. It is a safety ground. So anyhow, when you connect, when you put anything in the earth has a natural energy, a natural, I don't want to get too technical, but a surface charge. It's actually negative, meaning it has an abundance of electrons that can move. They're free electrons, they can move and reduce charge. It's a phenomena of nature. It's like the electrons on the earth can reach up and reduce charge in a cloud. That's what we see as lightning. Static electricity, when you walk out of a house, you touch something like you're in a car, you touch a gas pump, you'll get a shock sometimes. So what we're doing is anytime when you're grounded to the earth, then your body naturally equalizes with the earth and naturally becomes negatively charged. And the point, negative means no charge. In nature, we have no charge in our body. We have a lot of electrical phenomena going on in our body, but we don't have charges like static charges or those kind of things. So anyhow, when you connect the wire in the bed pad to the electrical ground, then the electrons on the earth migrate up the wire, up to the pad. So when you lay down on the pad, it's like going outdoors and laying directly on the earth. So we're replicating the earth in your bed. So it's like camping. And the nice thing about it is the way we've designed it is you put it on your bed one time and you put it under your sheet, or you can sleep on it if you have reason to. And then you don't have to do anything more. Every night you come home, you go to bed. It takes no extra effort, but you get all of the benefits as you sleep throughout the night. And I always try to preface this, try to give people an understanding. What's the benefit of it if you're new? One of the best metaphors is if you take the animals who live in the wild, they have no inflammation-related health disorders. They don't have heart disease, lupus, fibromyalgia, arthritis. They don't have any of these, any of these modern inflammation-related health disorders. On the other hand, the animals who live indoors with their owners suffer the same inflammation-related health disorders as the owners, meaning they do suffer from cancer, from inflammation-related, from arthritis, from there's a host of them. All the reasons you take an animal to a vet. Now, the animals that lived in the wild, if they had to go to a vet as often as a domesticated animal, I mean, there wouldn't be any animals. So, but anyhow, the point of it is what you're trying to do with grounding is you're trying to maintain your body at earth potential so there's no charge in your body. If there's no charge in your body, that means you can have no inflammation in your body. Inflammation is the modern health disorder. And again, to put that in perspective, I don't want to belabor this, but to put that in perspective, it's like I received something earlier today, and I think I sent you a copy, Jennifer. It's like in 1958, 1% of the population suffered from diabetes and what we would call metabolic syndrome. Today, 50% of the population, 60 some years later, 50% of the population can be diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes, and 90% of the population can be diagnosed with a metabolic disorder. And that's really inflammation-related health disorder. So what happened in 1960? We started wearing synthetic soled shoes. Now, the humans and their animals who live indoors, we're all disconnected from the earth. We no longer ground ourselves, and our bodies are full of inflammation. So the only reason that you would want to ground yourself is to reduce and prevent inflammation in your body. And that's what the products do. And if you have any more questions about your starter kit, give us a holler.
That's right. Our customer service teams are always there, ready to help. Okay, Wendy, she's asked a few questions, so I'll just ask you one at a time. Her first question is a new one. Who can sell the product?
Who can sell the product?
Who can sell the product?
Well, we sell it. It's on Amazon. We have a few wholesalers in the US. We have distributors in a half a dozen different countries and adding more of them all the time. And then we have an affiliate program. And we'll support anybody that wants to. It's not really about selling the product. It's about going out and trying to educate and teach people about it, because it's not about selling. It's about educating. Once people understand what it is and they experience the benefits of grounding with a simple patch, or you patch them for a few minutes and the pain goes away, then they're interested. Then they're a believer. But basically, it's more of an educational thing to a large degree. But anybody who wants to sell it that's interested in joining the team will let us know, and we'll see if you qualify for this or that or whatever.
Yes, you can email us at help@earthing.com, and we'll get you in touch with the right people and let you know the programs we have available. Her other question is, what is your take on why earthing works versus using PEMF with variable frequencies? And I had to look up PEMF, and it's pulse electromagnetic field therapy with variable frequency. So I don't know if that's something you're familiar with.
Well, I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
I remember when Beverly Rubik and a few others were developing that technology down in Southern California. Anyhow, what a pulsed electromagnetic field is, it's just what it says. It's sending out a pulse, electromagnetic pulse, based on some frequency. It can be a high frequency or a low frequency. But what it does, when it hits your body, it kind of causes your cells, it's perturbing the cells in your body. And it's kind of like throwing you in a wash machine and washing your body up. I mean, that's not a good metaphor. But anyhow, what it's doing is it's kind of a shock therapy. And it's trying to reset the cells in your body or the nervous system or something. I don't know what all they are pushing with it, but it's an artificial way to. It's kind of like a heart defibrillator. It's similar to that. So anyhow, what earthing does, it's different. Totally a total different modality. Earthing is 100% natural. It occurs naturally. It's free. It's part of your biology. All animals who have ever lived on the earth or live outdoors, they were always grounded. All plants, everything out there is grounded. All mammals are grounded. The only ones who aren't grounded today are humans and their domestic pets. And the ones who support the medical industry and the veterinary industry are humans and the medical and the animals, indoor animals. So, but anyhow, PEMF is it's something you use for a very short duration, because you're going to feel a little wired or a little pulsed.
Jolted, yes.
Jolted. But I'm not saying, it's a treatment. I don't know too much about it, but I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it's totally different. Totally different. Earthing is grounding is reducing inflammation in your body. PMFs are doing something entirely different.
And her last question, she says she's heard testimonials of people having less wrinkles from using the earthing pillow. So how does the earthing pillow compare to the earthing sheet? She says earthing sheet, but I think she might mean the mattress cover or the sleep mat.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, people do. What it is, I mean, we have a study on the Earthing Institute at theearthinginstitute.net, where I don't remember which study it is, but it's about grounding the body. And one of the main things that grounding does is the first thing that it does is it normalizes your blood viscosity. There's a study that talks about blood viscosity, where you can actually see when you're grounded, the little red blood cells, first of all, they equalize with the earth. They have more electrons around the surface of the red blood cell than they do when they're not grounded. And now they're more negative. So the more negative they are, the more they repel each other. They kind of push each other away. So now the blood can get in and out of the capillaries. The blood cells, red blood cells, have to go in and out of the capillary single file, and they scrub against the capillary, and they deliver oxygen and take out debris. So what you do when we ground the body, we enhance the blood's electrical properties, and which allows them for the blood to be more viscous, to be able to get in and out of the capillary. So that's why it reduces, or why when you get grounded, no matter what, if you just ground out yourself outdoors, or with the patches or anything, usually your skin's going to turn pink. And that's what that's all about. Now, when you sleep on the pillow, does it do it faster? I don't really know, but a lot of people say it does. So I'll go with that. It's closer to the area of where the issues are, I guess.
All right. And just to let everybody know, those of you who are joining us for the first time, we try to put links in the chat section. So just a reminder, ask your questions in the Q&A section, but then you can go to the chat section for links to, such as the Earthing Institute, or if we can pull up quick enough a specific study or something that Clint talks about, that link will be in the chat section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Albina has asked, do we ground if we walk on a pathway or natural stone or the parking lot, or do we need to step straight onto grass to be grounded?
Well, if you're barefoot, you can, concrete is earth. I mean, it's minerals, and it's laying on the earth. All concrete holds some amount of moisture. So generally maybe when it's 120 in Phoenix, the concrete may be a little too dry, but generally speaking, when you walk on concrete, it's grounded. I mean, it's grounding. If you walk on grass, it'll be more grounding because there's more moisture. If you stand barefoot on sand or dirt, just a little bit below the surface of the earth in the sand, or when there's just plain dirt, there's always a little moisture right below the surface. So when you walk, you're pretty much, there's plenty of moisture there. So earth, sand, grass, those are best. Concrete, they're all good. Asphalt, no, because asphalt is polymer based. It's plastic.
Right. Barbara is wondering your thoughts on osteoporosis, bone health, and inflammation as it relates to earthing.
Okay, well, I've been doing this for 22 years. And what grounding primarily is about is reducing inflammation. We pretty much can say without any hesitation that if you ground the human body and keep it grounded 24/7, you cannot have inflammation, which means that you can't have most of the modern health disorders, the chronic degenerative health disorders like Alzheimer's, lupus, MS, arthritis, and all of these things. Now, osteoporosis is, we have a lot of people who report that after being grounded for any period of time, because they go in every 6 months or every so often, if they're on Fosamax or some of these osteoporosis meds, they go in and to measure the bone, and they have this test where they actually measure the bone density. So there's a term called laying on bone, or you're losing bone or you're laying on bone. So most people who have osteoporosis are losing bone. It is slowly, their bones are slowly getting more brittle. So what's happening, what's causing that, this is my opinion, with a lot of expertise behind it. I've talked to a lot of ladies who, and most of the ladies who have osteoporosis are a little older. And I've talked to a few of them, and they hadn't touched the earth in almost 30 years. They've not been grounded. They live their lifestyle, the way they work, their homes, their just everything. They're totally insulated from the earth, and very seldom, they don't go to the beach, they don't get to go camping or whatever, but their lifestyle is such that they're always wearing shoes, or they're forever insulated from the earth. So in your body, the body tries to maintain blood pH at about 7 point, I don't remember, 742 or whatever it is. And if the blood pH drifts more than a point or two, then you will die. You will get sepsis and you will die. So what the body does is it immediately, it dissolves bone to free up calcium, to release calcium to free up electrons in order to maintain blood pH. The body will go to any cost to do that. And the main electron store in the body is in the bones. It isn't released rapidly, but it is slowly released in order to maintain blood pH. So as soon as you get grounded and start spending a lot of time grounded, sleeping grounded, then all of a sudden it goes the other direction. You start laying on bone because the body is a self-healing mechanism. The only time it deteriorates and degenerates is when it is stressed to the point, something is stressing the immune system sufficient that it can't maintain health. And in this case, you don't have enough free electrons, then you can't maintain health. You end up creating inflammation in the body, and the immune system is taxed to the point that it can't take care of normal functions in the body because it's forever trying to put out the fire and repair the damage that's created by the inflammation that it itself is producing because the body's not grounded. So yeah, I hope I answered all of that. I don't know, but
Sure.
yeah, it's very important.
Okay.
And this is self-evident.
We have an anonymous person asking, is it safe to use the pillowcase? I'm uneasy about it being so close to my head.
Well, that's what it's designed for. There's the uneasiness would be, I'm not sure what it is, but if you don't feel comfortable in the bed, then play with it. Take a nap on the couch, do whatever, but it's not going to hurt your head because your head is systemically connected to the rest of your body. Everything that goes on there is going on, inflammation and circulation, all these things, it's going on universally throughout your whole body. And even our brain and how we think and feel, our body's one thing. And so, but just play with it. If you don't trust it, then try to determine why. If it's a safety issue, there's plenty of safety built into the products. You're not going to get electrocuted or anything like that. So it's really what you're doing with the pillow is if you have static electricity in your hair, it'll automatically eliminate the static electricity. All the static electricity on your body will totally dissipate. Then your sympathetic nervous system will start to calm down. You'll feel better. You'll relax. And your blood viscosity will improve. You have better circulation. So you're more relaxed and you have better circulation. You're going to sleep better. And you're going to look 10 years younger in the morning when you get up and look in the mirror. I get to joke once in a while. That's not a joke. That's true.
Okay. Patty has asked, can you put the patch by your eye if you've had eye surgery and it's taken way too long to heal? Doctor says my eye has inflammation in it. So where would you recommend someone put a patch if they had eye surgery?
Well, I don't know what the nature of the eye surgery is, but you can put the patch on the side of the head. I wouldn't put it directly over the eye or anything like that. You can put it below. You can put it on the forehead. You can just put it somewhere in the close proximity. But the other thing you can do is just put it on the palm of your hand on the side of the body where the eye is. If you have inflammation in the eye, you have inflammation in the body. And so it's, again, everything is systemic. The body is one thing, and it's all, if you have a problem here, you really have an inflammatory problem everywhere. But play with the patch, do whatever. The pillow would be really probably a good adjunct. Try to spend as much time as you can grounded during the day, even if it's barefoot outdoors. Get some sunshine. the answer is just you can use the patch. Don't leave the patch on your skin more than 24 hours, 12, 18 hours at a time. If you do, then change it, move it around just a little bit so you don't get any skin irritation from the adhesive on the patches. Let us know.
Leslie has a friend who's struggling with Parkinson's. I wonder if you have any information that would be helpful for someone with Parkinson's who is a bit resistant to something as basic as grounding.
Well, I've never met a person yet that has Parkinson that wasn't resistant to grounding. They're resistant to everything. But anyhow, all you have to do is put the patch in the palm of their hand like that. And just a few minutes, the trembles will stop and they'll start feeling better. That's all you can do. It's experiential. If they don't want to do that, then they can go and just hold on to a cold water pipe or a cold water faucet. It's grounded to the earth. Go outdoors, put their hands and feet in the grass and notice the change. But the simplest way is just put a patch on the hand. I mean, we see this all the time. I mean, I have one gentleman back in the Washington, D.C. area. He's just totally loves the grounding because it does stop the tremors and all that. He says, but I've got to have something so when I disconnect, it doesn't come back. And so he wants a portable earthing device. So anyhow, I don't think we have anything like that for a while, but anyhow, yeah, it's really important. It's because what you want to do is you want to stop the advancement of the damage in the body that is causing the Parkinson. Parkinson is an inflammation-related health disorder. Go to Google, type in Parkinson, type in inflammation. So you've got to stop the inflammation and stop it's kind of like MS, lupus, they're all the same, they're all similar. But yeah, it's very important. I think the question was, what can I do to help educate or motivate?
Yes.
If you have a patch, put it on his hand for 5 minutes. Other than that, take him outdoors and have him put him barefoot and barehanded on the grass. Or put him in a chair and put his feet on the earth. Mm-hmm. But it'd be best to put his hands on, just whatever. You just have to experiment and play. Older people are very reluctant, they're very resistant because it's the most challenging thing in the world in the last 20 years. The most challenging thing in the world is this is so simple. And every man says, well, if this were true, I would know about it. Somebody would have told me. Mm-hmm. And I say, I'm sorry. It is new. And nobody knew about it. We accidentally disconnected from the earth in 1958, 59, 60. And everybody got sicker and sicker and sicker. Now we all have metabolic syndrome from our bodies are being flooded with inflammation because we're no longer grounded and we don't reduce the inflammation and the charge in our bodies. And our bodies are they're inflamed. They're getting oxidized, burned up. And that's what Parkinson is. It's an oxidative health disorder.
Mary says or asks, is there extra benefit in putting a specific problem area in contact with a grounding product, or is having any part of your body grounded enough to receive full benefits? We get this question all the time.
No, and I know.
Yeah.
And I answer it all the time, and it's important. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking of electrical terms like electrical wires and light bulbs, then it takes a very, very small wire to light a light bulb or the Christmas tree light. It'll light every Christmas tree up instantly. So the energy that is created, by the electric fields and the electromagnetic fields, they travel at the speed of light. But electrons, they travel much slower. They will only sometimes move just a few millimeters, in a minute or an hour. On the other hand, what happens with grounding typically, or what we've noticed is that, and we have studies on it, is what happens is As soon as you ground the body, then the blood circulates once a month. All the blood in your body circulates once a minute. There's a lot of activity going on in your body. And as it passes the feet and the hands or whatever is grounded, then it absorbs the electrons from the earth. And then the ground, the little red blood cells actually ground. They equalize similar type energy surface charge as the earth itself does. And then this causes the blood cells to become more electrically negative, which allows them to repel. I lost my thought there. I got sidetracked on a thought there. Bring me back.
The question was, can we ground our whole body or should we ground that one specific part?
Okay, right. So anyhow, the point is, a lot of people think, well, all I've got to do is stick my toe on the earth and I'm grounded, and it takes care, and it grounds me out. Well, that's not the case. You will instantly, at the speed of light, notice a discharge or in your emotional state, and you'll feel the body or a release. And this is from the electric field because you've discharged that. Your body's tight and tense when you're wearing shoes, and then you've got all this environmental electrical noise. So that creates a tension on your body. So as soon as you ground, instantly you release that tension. Now, the electrons that travel into your body, depending on if it's your feet or your hands or your whole body, the more grounded you are, the faster your whole body will become grounded. But there's another little piece to it that the earth has its own electric field. So when you ground the mattress cover, then it has an invisible bubble. It's an electric field that radiates, at earth frequencies. And so when you lay down on it, then your body close couples with it, and then your body starts to resonate with the earth, with the frequencies of the earth, rather than the atmospheric frequencies like 60 hertz electricity and so on. So the only thing I can tell you is overall grounding, more is better. But if you have a toothache or a injury or stub a toe or a surgery or whatever, or like the eye inflammation, then put a patch near the site of trauma, and you're going to get more electron flow more quickly, and it's going to reduce the pain and reduce the issue more quickly. So that's called localized grounding. It's very effective. But general grounding, just touching one point of the body, you will eventually ground out. It just takes longer.
All right. Aline has asked, what if you have a heart valve? Can you be grounded?
As long as you can stand barefoot on the earth, you can be grounded because you are grounded when you stand barefoot on the earth. No issue at all. We have Stephen Sinatra, who is a cardiologist, who has worked with us, helped write the book and helped do a lot of the studies. And that's one of the main things that we've always heard about is pacemakers and anything to do with cardio-surgery.
Barbara has asked a great question. I gave my mom a sleeping pad. She just received it. She has years of chronic pain from spinal stenosis and arthritis. Is the speed or rate of relief dependent on the length of time that a condition has been present?
Not the inflammation. The inflammation will reduce quite quickly, but the repair process, that may take weeks, months, years. But with arthritis, it depends the damage that has been done. But by putting a patch on or grounding the person, it's going to reduce the inflammation. And if the person were able to get grounded and stay grounded 24/7, the inflammation would disappear, the pain would disappear, and the body would restore much of the damage. If in many cases that we've seen it restore all of the damage. We've seen gnarled up arthritic fingers straighten out over a period of months and years, whatever. But the body is a self-healing mechanism. It only knows to do one thing: return the body to normal. We just have to give it the resources that it needs. And in this case, it needs to not have inflammation in the body, and needs those free electrons to take care of the inflammation it creates when it's repairing the body.
Lisa has asked, is a flannel sheet okay on top of the bed mat?
No.
Allison has asked, hi, Mr. Ober. I've been grounding for a month now, and I still have not received the full benefits that I see so many people seem to get from sleep. That's my problem area. I had a traumatic event as a classroom teacher last year. I was assaulted on several occasions. She had a violent student. Anyway, I have the sleep mat, and I just ordered the pillowcase. I also have 2 small mats. I have patches. I walk grounded every day for an hour. Am I doing too much?
No. All the grounding you can get is good, especially, it's like, I have to keep track of time, but basically you've gone through a very traumatic experience. And we've worked with a lot of school teachers in a lot of our studies and things that we've done. And if you've watched the Earthing movie, you'll see some of them. But so every time you walk back into that classroom, I mean, you're dealing with psychological issues. You're dealing with all of the issues and the trauma and everything that goes with your experience. But in many times, what we've learned over the years is we can ground people, and it will reduce the inflammation. It will put the fire out. On the other hand, we know a lot of people have chronic inflammation. So during the day, they will get their inflammation comes back. At night, they ground it out, and so on. So the question becomes, what is causing the inflammation? And when you've gone through a traumatic experience, and especially like the one like she's describing, then you're in a chronically elevated sympathetic state of fight or flight, and this causes your cortisol to be more elevated. The cortisol causes anxiety and irritability, and it's relentless, and eventually you wear out your adrenals, and your parasympathetic is non-functioning, and so the more you think about things, the more stress. So you're just totally in a stress state. So the best thing to do is to ground as much as possible. Try to understand and get some help with dealing with the situation. But if you can, spend some time in nature, away from all of it, away from all the craziness, and get some, the sunshine and the grass, and just ground it out. Ground all of the stress out of your body, and try to ground out the trauma as much. I mean, I'm pushing the envelope here a little bit, but we have a lot of experience. We know that grounding is very beneficial for what you just described, and I wish I could offer more.
We have a question here that we do get quite a few questions about this. This person has a Beamer, and they're wondering, they asked, is it redundant to use along with earthing products? They also said the Beamer highlights getting oxygen into the capillary bed. Is this the same as grounding?
No. The Beamer is not grounded to the earth that we know of. What it is, it's a PEMF pad. It's a pulsed electromagnetic field pad, and supposedly has crystals and various other things in it that have natural frequencies and so on. But it's not going to give you an electron. It is impossible. It is not possible for anything except the earth and blueberries, raw food, and the earth itself to give you free electrons. And if you have thick blood, and you have to add electrons to the body so that the red blood cells can restore their natural negative surface charge. so that they can repel each other, so they can get in and out of the capillaries. So, what these products do, some of them, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure they do beneficial things. I'm not saying they don't, but what they do is that's a heating pad, I think, and it's a PEMF pad. And so you're creating a little bit of heat, which is going to cause the body to try to maintain the body's normal temperature. So it's got to increase blood flow. And then the pulse electromagnetic field, I think a PEMF, you can only be on it for like 8 minutes or something before it shocks the nervous system too much. But anyhow, so these things, these other things are, they're not natural products. I mean, they're not providing things that happen in nature. But they're trying to stimulate, or they're trying to reduce some biological function, or stimulate some biological function in order to help restore normalcy. But they are not. Earthing is a total 100% natural phenomena, and these other things are. You have to ask the practitioners who use them for a better answer.
Okay. Albina, I believe this is their second question. Thank you for listening and learning more. And this is a great question. If I buy the auto seat mat kit, can I also use it at home later if I purchase cables or the wires sold separately? Will they also fit the auto seat mat?
Yes.
When you buy the auto seat mat, you get the cords for that you can use in your automobile, and then you could purchase a cord separately that goes into an outlet adapter or safety adapter, and they will work. They will snap on.
Yep.
Joan has said, I hope you don't find this a silly question. By the way, I don't, Joan, but I'll ask anyway. Is a house plant in your house grounded?
Not unless the soil in the pot is connected to the earth. Now, if you go to the earthinginstitute.net, there are studies about plants, grounded sunflowers. And we have videos scattered around that show the dramatic effect of grounding plants. For instance, cut sunflowers. I'll be glad someday when we have pictures at the same time we're doing all this. But the cut sunflowers, we do this with the schools and the classrooms. But you take a cut sunflower, 2 of them from the same batch, and then you take and put them in vases, and you ground the water in one and not the other. And the sunflowers will go there for about a week, and then all of a sudden one start to fall over and dies in about 7 days, where the other one will go on for another 7 to 10 days. So it's very significant to ground your plants. They're much healthier and happier when they get those free electrons.
My daughter did that as her science fair project. I think it was last year.
Oh, cool.
She had
Great.
2 sets of different kinds of plants, and one set was grounded and one wasn't grounded. So.
Yeah. I always relate that to people, ungrounded people versus grounded people. If Friday you want to feel like you want to be able to get up and go dancing, you got to have that energy. Or if you're all burned out, you can't get out.
Ground for better dancing.
Yes, absolutely.
Wendy has said, I see on the website the large body band kit. Where did the smaller band go? She would love to see the smaller band back in stock.
You might be able to answer that better than me.
Yes, we no longer carry the small body band. We are working on possibly bringing it back. So for now, we only have the larger one. What we want to do is kind of redesign it a little bit. So make it a little softer, a little more user-friendly, a little stretchier.
Yeah. So they are coming back. They're just going to be more user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Anne has asked, have any hospitals expressed interest in earthing products?
Well, not hospitals per se, because everything in the hospital is regulated. There's protocol for everything in the medical industry. We have the AMA, you have doctors, everybody is regulated. There's standards and protocol, and everybody has to follow them. Anything new that is different, you really can't be in those environments because a doctor comes in and he doesn't know, well, what is this? I don't know what it is, and is it going, so he has to say, get it out of here because I don't know this. I wasn't taught this in med school. This isn't, so what they don't know, they can't have. And I understand it totally. But yeah, it would be great to have grounding in hospitals. And we do have a lot of people who ground while they're in the hospitals, during recovery. I have done it myself. And, but we do have lots of other type institutions for elder care and things like that. And we have worked a lot with hospice over the years and so on. But that's a process that has to come through. They have to be taught that in school before everything can exist in the medical world. The medical world is a whole different thing than
lots of red tape.
Yeah, this is self-care. Yeah. This is a natural phenomena. It's not something that makes sense for them. They are in the business of you have a problem and fixing your problem. Yeah.
Loretta says that a friend was enjoying the bed pad, but then they cut the wire so it could be run through a tiny hole in a screen, and then they soldered it back together. Now the pad feels prickly, so they no longer use it. Any thoughts? I'm wondering if this is the ground rod wire.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If it feels prickly, then it may not be grounded. It may not. If it's a ground rod wire, that is a stainless wire. Can't be cut easily. And so the solder probably didn't hold or isn't making a good enough connection. So the options are, one, go to Home Depot or wherever, no, that won't work out either. The only option is to get a new ground rod wire. And that wire is designed so that you can feed it through the side of a screen. You can shut a window on it. You cannot cut that wire. That's why we did that, because when we had the soft copper that would have been solderable, if you close a window on it, it can cut through the copper. Mm. But the stainless, no way. You cannot damage the stainless wires, ground rod wires.
Catherine's asked a question. You spoke earlier about the bones and all how grounding affects that. He wants to know, does it help to dissolve excess calcium in the bones, such as bone spurs?
Yes. See, I mean, all of this, we know this anecdotally because we hear about it a lot, especially people who have bone spurs on their feet and ankles or wherever they have them. And but it's like if you break a bone, an arm, when they reset it, then as time goes on, you'll have a layer of bone that's kind of like a bump, like a ridge, almost the size of your finger on top of where the break is. And then as time goes on and the bone strengthens underneath, then there's little critters in our body that go and they shave that bone, that excess bone off and return it to normal. So having a bone spur is unnatural. It's not normal to have bone spurs. It is related to inflammation or not having enough calcium and so on. So yes, you will eventually lose your bone spurs. If you don't, please let me know.
Margaret says, my studio floor is concrete, so I'm probably grounded while I work. If I put a canvas tarp over the concrete, does that stop the grounding process?
It depends if you're barefoot or has shoes. If you're barefoot, if you're in an artist studio, if you're barefoot, then being on the canvas is probably okay, because your feet sweat, perspire more than any other part of your body. The bottom of your feet do. And I don't know for sure, but if you're wearing shoes, no. If you're barefoot, the concrete would ground you, and odds are that as long as it's just one layer of canvas, thin canvas, then you're probably grounded. You're certainly going to feel better either way.
Michael says, hi, Clint. I think you're great. I don't experience pain, but I have been grounding while sleeping for the past few weeks. What results will I be able to notice if I keep it up? This is a healthy person. That's
a healthy person.
Self-care.
Yeah, it's interesting when we do our studies, what you try to do, you don't want people who have inflammation or health disorders in your studies. What you want is people that are healthy, so that you can measure the effects of earthing, on a healthy person. The problem we ran into over the years, it's impossible to find a group of 30 or 60, what you call healthy people. Mm-hmm. So it's a rare commodity. So, but anyhow, there are a lot of healthy people. But anyhow, so what happens is, don't know your age, but if you ground your body and you keep the inflammation down when you're young or when you're healthy, then you're not going to manifest a lot of the health disorders that you normally would. From my own experience and the experience of all the people around us that we've known for 20 years, you'll have less colds. You'll have more energy. You'll have, you get up in the morning, you get up, you bounce out of bed in the morning rather than drag yourself out of bed in the morning. You just have more energy. But it's very simple. In nature, the animals who live in the wild they are grounded 24/7. They have none of the modern health disorders that humans experience and indoor animals. So if you're going to be grounded, then you're going to be healthy more like an outdoor animal. And to describe the exact benefits, if I knew your age, I could talk to you because I've grounded so many people I know pretty much. But if you're younger, you're going to stay healthier. If you're older, then it's going to keep you healthy. It's going to all you're doing with grounding is you're putting yourself back in the body's most natural state, most natural electrical state. So you have internal electrical stability. Your organs are going to function better. You have trillions of electrical transactions in your body every second. Every cell in your body is receiving and transmitting information. That's all electrical. It's taking in food and releasing, toxin. That's all electrical processes. You have your brain, you have your heart, you have your muscles. Those are all electrical processes. So if you can maintain the internal electrical stability of your body, then all of that's going to function better. You're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier.
All right. Sweta has said, would sleeping on a grounded pad under the head be the same as sleeping on the grounded pillow?
A ground mat on the pillow?
Yes, so they're saying instead of using our pillow, what if they put a grounded pad, like a universal mat or a single sleep mat underneath their head?
Yeah, we have sold millions of those universal mats. Mm-hmm. And most of them ended up sleeping on them in the bed, or they would put them in the pillowcase and sleep on them in pillow. That's why we designed the pillowcase, was to give them a better product. But no, it would be the same. It would be similar.
And she also asked, are there any studies that grounding decreases tinnitus, the ringing in the ears?
Yeah, the first study we ever did, the cortisol study, we had that's on the Earthing Institute. But if you look at the footnotes or down below and some of the responses of some of the subjects, tinnitus was one that came up three times. And tinnitus is, I don't know the actual mechanics of it, but it's because being in a chronically elevated sympathetic state, fight or flight, and holding tension in the body. And usually there's grinding of the teeth. There's all kinds of things that can be somewhat related to it. There's a lot more than I know, but people do. We have had lots of reports of people benefiting, of grounding benefiting tinnitus. You have to experiment to a degree if it doesn't work, we'd like to know about it.
This is from an anonymous person. Are the mats okay to get wet?
Yeah, that's the mats are similar to a lot of the leatherette material that you might have on furniture. A lot of your nicer furniture is more leatherette today. And so, yes, it's designed that you can just take a simple rag with a little bit of soap or simple green or whatever and wipe them down and clean them. Yes, that's no problem at all. I've thrown them in and out of the washing machine many times just to test the longevity of them. Mm-hmm. And they'll last a lot longer if you don't do that, but you can do that.
Lisa is asking, what are your thoughts on frozen shoulder? I've been sleeping grounded for over a year and I still manage to end up with a frozen shoulder.
Patch on the hand of the shoulder. That will help. Other than that, find a really good massage therapist that can work with fascia and all those kind of things also. But the grounding, the number one benefit of grounding is just putting it on the hand of the arm of the shoulder that's frozen. That was one of the first things we ever learned with athletes. A lot of them had shoulder pain, and we could put the patch on their hand and they would get relief in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, she says it's been very painful and has pretty much destroyed her life because she's right-handed and it's her right shoulder.
Okay, then you use the patch. You ask if she doesn't have the patch. That's the best thing to do. I mean, that's one of the reasons that product is there.
Tiffany is asking, is it safe to ground while using a CPAP machine?
That's interesting, yes. I mean, we have a lot of experience with that. Being grounded, the first thing that's going to happen generally, and again, this is anecdotal, and I'm not acting as a doctor here. I don't want, if you're on any kind of medical or meds or devices and so on, don't do anything different without your doctor's, permission and approval. But I'll just share the story. In fact, I just grounded somebody here last week that had a CPAP machine, and I said, well, do this, do that, whatever. And the first night, she had no events like she would normally have because the events are registered. And about the third night, she stopped using it. That's pretty much my history over the last 20 years. Usually within a week, people, unless they have something more severe going on, because what causes the snoring and the issues that go with sleep apnea is because the muscles in the breathing apparatus are inflamed and they lose their tone and integrity. So once you get grounded and start putting out the inflammation, and one of the number one things we hear is snoring is reduced when people get grounded. So it's kind of all related. But again, there's no problem with doing it for sure. But it should improve your need. You should have less events. But again, that'll be self-evident. Experiment, play with it, let us know. We already know these things. It's for other people to learn. I'm not supposed to be an expert on all of this. I just I have 22 years of observations. I have grounded thousands of people. We have done dozens of studies. We've worked with scientists, physicists, everybody, and we see what we see. And when you ground the body, you reduce the inflammation, the immune system starts to come back, and the immune system restores the body to normal, like it knows how to do, and only it knows how to do. And then all of a sudden you get your life back. That's the number one thing I hear over the years. Thank you, I got my life back. And it's not me, it's the earth, it's nature, it's God-given.
Patty says, I'm sensitive to many healing modalities, so I've learned to be very slow and careful. How long should it take to be able to ground as much as I can?
Okay, that that language indicates that you are electrically sensitive, meaning you might be sensitive to touch, to temperature changes, to noise, to wind, to EMFs, any kind of electrical environment. So what that indicates, first of all, is that you have exhausted adrenals. I mean, something, you had an event or a series of events where you remained in a sympathetic state for an extended period that exhausted your adrenals. And then your parasympathetic, which normally modulates what you feel and so on. And it becomes more extreme. You become more sensitive, super sensitive. So the issue that you're dealing with is adrenal fatigue. And that's what you may want to be trying to learn as much as you can about. What the grounding does is it, like I said, it reduces the inflammation and calms the sympathetic nervous system. That releases the tension on the adrenals, and then the adrenals can begin to rebuild. So it depends on how sensitive you are, and the best thing to do is just start by going outdoors, standing barefoot on the earth, and get some sunshine, and that's grounding. Then when you come indoors and you want to ground during sleep, then it's a similar experience. All we're doing is trying to get the electrons, the electrical energy of the earth into your bed. So when you lay down, you're grounded like you would be laying outdoors on the earth, which our progenitors did for millions of years. So if you go through situations where you have a lot of, let's say, I don't know what the best one to use is, but if you have poor circulation, then you end up with inflammation, sometimes neuropathy, various or poor circulation in the extremities. And then as soon as you start getting grounded, then your blood viscosity normalizes. The blood is able to get into the capillaries and oxygenate the tissue, and at the same time kill off some of the spirochetes or some of the bacteria that is dormant in those extremities. And then as that happens, then they flood the body and you feel like you have the flu. That's exactly what happens when you get the flu. Your immune system and your bloods, you have a die-off of the viruses and so on, and then your body gets flooded with that, the debris and all that, and as it clears, you feel horrible. And so that's similar thing that's going on if you have a flu type thing when you get grounded. Then you just go with caution. I mean, go slow. Do as much as you can. Do a little bit more here and there. Ground yourself at different times of the day, different ways, and just go into it. And then, but again, I don't have enough information about this person to give ironclad, do this, do that. It's grounding is self-evident. The results are self-evident. What you feel sometimes is unusual and different than you felt before. Lots of times you will feel the energy come into your body. You can actually, it's like you're trickle charging, like a little battery. But you are a capacitor, and you're connected to the earth, and you're going to absorb energy from the earth until you equalize, until you get charged up and have the same electrical potential as the earth. So as soon as that happens, I mean, for the first 15 minutes or so, you may feel a little bit of energy coming into your body, but as soon as you equalize fully, then it stops. You don't feel it anymore. So just everything is self-evident, and just feel comfortable. Know that there are millions of people out there that are grounded, and we haven't lost anybody yet that I know of. And it's 100%. This is nature. Unfortunately, it's absurd that we do it. We have to do it the way we do it, with wires and pads and all that, but we're going to live in modern houses, which is absurd based on where we came from and nature.
Sure.
But that's the way it is. And so grounding is about trying to help you restore your health and to get your full health back. And so other things that can be impacting your body, but the main thing is if we can put the inflammation out, restore your immune system, that will help restore your adrenals, that will help restore your life.
Very good. Barbara is asking about earthing and the benefits for people with diabetes, whether that's type 1 or type 2.
Well, I sent you a copy of this article earlier today.
Yes.
And in 1958, it was less than 1% of the population could be diagnosed with diabetes. What happened in 1958? Since 1958, 1960, that time area, there has been an exponential rise in diabetes. Now, 50% of the population can be diagnosed as diabetic or pre-diabetic. So what happened? Is it the food? Is it the air? Is it the water? What is it? So anyhow, all of our research has been based on one thing. In 1960 timeframe, 1958, that whole little area. Those are the years we invented polymers that we could make plastics with, that we could put synthetic soles on the bottom of our shoes so everybody could afford shoes. Because prior to that, we were barefoot or we wore leather. So, and then we carpeted our homes with those ugly orange, green, and a lot of you can't remember these shag carpets that were plastic. So everybody was insulated from the earth. We lost contact with the earth with the plastics that we started to produce in the 60s. So then as the 60s grew, then Nike and the athletic shoes came along and became very popular. So everybody started migrating to those. And so eventually now, 60 years later, 98% of all shoes sold in America are synthetic sole shoes. Well, you take a look at the charts that show the exponential growth of diabetes, along with autism, lupus, MS, cancer, all of these autoimmune related health disorders. So they're all the same. So diabetes is really related to what you call metabolic syndrome. And but the number one thing we do is diabetes. If you can go to Google diabetes and inflammation. Diabetes is an inflammation-related health disorder. So the best thing to do to recover is you have to reduce the inflammation that's causing or that's promoting or contributing to the diabetes. Sure, there's many other things in our environment that can contribute to it, but the underlying cause of diabetes is inflammation. So, and that's in the literature. So that's what we try to do is we try to work with people and to get them to reduce the inflammation, and then they can start feeling better. Their metabolism improves. They can start doing more. I don't know. Am I answering the question?
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, it's very important. The first thing you do if you have an inflammation-related health disorder, an autoimmune-related health disorder, or a metabolic syndrome-related health disorder, which they're all the same, in the literature, the number one protocol is reduce inflammation. They have all these other treatments and everything else you do, but the objective is to reduce inflammation. They have many drugs that will help reduce inflammation, but that's the protocol. Because you've got to stop the fire. You got to put the fire out. You got to restore your immune system. I hope that was helpful.
Yes.
I would like to scream about that one, but I don't know what to say.
Joan is asking, I believe she asked a question earlier. She would like to know, how does it work with the auto seat mount? You have rubber tires on a car, so how exactly are you grounded?
Okay. Well, first of all, the chassis, when you ground the seat pad to any metal, then you are grounded to the chassis. The chassis weighs, let's say 3,000 or 4,000 pounds. And let's say that you weigh 150 pounds, or for simplicity, let's say 200 pounds. So as far as static charges, so you take your weight of the metal in the car, which is 4,000 pounds, and you're 200 pounds. So you divide 200 pounds into 400, which is some percent. So it reduces the overall static charges by that percentage. It's like 95% or something. So that's how you reduce the static electricity and how you get, so that's one of the main benefits of grounding yourself when driving. So you don't have the road rage. You can see better, you feel better. It's really a lot. So on the other hand, the metal frame of the car is connected to a 12-volt battery, negative side of a 12-volt battery. So the frame itself has a negative charge on it. Further, you're driving down the road and there's wind and you're creating charges, and the tires are black carbon, so they have a little bit of carbon migration also. So, but it's really about the frame and the weight of the body, add them together and divide the body by the total weight. And so you're going to reduce static electric fields and charges on your body by that percentage. It's a huge, so that's one of the main things. So you're not necessarily earth grounded, but you are grounded. You're grounded to the frame, and that's, I can go on about that. But I can give you an idea that one of our first studies we ever did was to ground truck drivers with that little seat pad in Castaic, Colorado, or Castaic, California. And we gave them, I think we paid them $50, $25 to try it and fill out the reports, because it was a study type thing, and then $25 if they returned the report. And we even had pictures of them. We took pictures of each and every one of them. But the number one thing that came back was they had less fatigue. They felt better at the end of the trip. The thing that surprised all of us is many of them talked about improved night vision. That means lower blood pressure. So yeah, and all we did was ground them to the chassis of their trucks. Their trucks are a huge ground plane. An automobile is a huge ground plane. It maintains a natural negative charge just by virtue of its size and that it's metal in the environment.
All right, I think we have time for one more question here. Jeffrey has said, I'm 53 years old and I injured my right arm playing sports in January. I bought a grounding pad a month ago and I see positive results, except within half an hour of sleep on the pad, my right arm starts to ache, sometimes enough that I need to put a hot water bottle on it. Why would grounding cause the aching in his injured arm?
I can't really address that because I don't really know. But I do know that sometimes when you have injury, and then when you go out and use it, even though you're recovering, you go out and use it all day, then when you get grounded later, then the immune system has to clean up the inflammation that was generated throughout the day or whatever. I don't really know. I would try, I don't know what form of grounding. I don't know if it's patches. I don't know if it's a mat or without knowing this, I don't know how to respond entirely.
Okay.
But the main thing is,
yeah, he doesn't say, he says he bought a grounding pad, so I don't think he's using the patches.
Okay. Put the arm on the pad, see what happens. The patches is what I would be using, especially for a sports injury, because we ground lots of athletes for those various things.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. I do see we have oh geez, about 19 questions that we didn't get to. So this has turned into a very popular
Is there any of them that are
event.
important that,
Well, I'm sure they're all important to the people who asked them. We will be here next week at 3:30 Pacific time doing the same thing. We encourage you to log in. Just so you know, I do start at the top of the questions and work my way down. So if you aren't able to log in until later in the webinar, I probably, well, if we have this many people logged in, your chances are less. If you log in right away at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time when we start, you're almost guaranteed to have your question answered. So do keep that in mind for next time. If you don't want to wait, you can always contact our customer service department, help@earthing.com. You can visit our website, earthing.com, to get our phone number. You can live chat us. If you are watching on Facebook Live or YouTube right now, be sure to go onto our website and subscribe to our newsletter. And that way you can get the link to our webinar, you can learn how to sign up, and then you can ask your questions directly here. Again, make sure you log in early and get those questions in early.
will these questions that are left be answered next week?
No, but we do have Charlie working. He's in our customer service department. He's working in the background to answer these questions so that they will get a written response today.
Okay.
And I actually just see that, yes, they were copied and pasted into our notes. So to answer your question, it is yes. That's why I have my wonderful customer service team in the background working, and they got that for you, Clint.
Okay. In the meantime, everybody, if you get a chance, watch the Earthing movie. It's free on Amazon or YouTube. No commercials. And go to the Earthing Institute and peruse some of the information that's there. There's a wealth of information that's been created over the last 12, 15 years. And if you have anything to offer us or add to what we're doing, please let us know.
Yes. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Again, we have a special 10% off your first order running for the entire month of April. So if you go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get all the information on how to get 10% off your first order. All right, Clint, thank you. And I'll see you same time, same place next week.
All right. Very good.
All right.
Take
Mondays
care.
at 3:30 p.m. Earthing Live. Thank you, everyone.
Very good. Bye.